Welcome everybody, and a special welcome Yann Lesestre for his readiness to speak about YOUNGO Working Group on Action for Climate Empowerment and to discuss how there can be created synergies between ECOS and the young people's work in this field. So welcome Yann, the floor is yours.
Hi. So who's online? Only Mark?
Yes, okay. Mark is online, but it will be recorded, so it can be later also watched and commented.
And do you know what is S about? Should I explain?
Yeah, what you had in mind, because you proposed to speak today about this topic.
No,
whatever you want.
I don't know what is your level of knowledge. So basically, S means Action for Climate Empowerment. It is the area to discuss the implementation of Article 6 of the of the UN Convention on Climate Change and Article 12 of the Paris Agreement. Both articles deals with the issue of education and public participation for what concerns Article 6 of the UNFCCC. So basically, Article 6 has been a part of the UN of the UNFCCC since the beginning. That's 23 years ago, but nothing has been done so far. I mean, nothing meaningful. And in Doha COP17, parties agreed to launch what is called the Doha Work Program. It's a program. Basically, it's a dialogue between non-party stakeholders to exchange their good practices on implementation of action for climate empowerment. The exchange are good, but there are actually no impact. It's just like a conference, like a series of conferences. So it's interesting to be there, but there is nothing really meaningful. And what we want to avoid as the YOUNGO ACE Working Group is to have something similar in for the implementation of the Paris Agreement. I mean, just a dialogue between non-party stakeholders, without any mandate for action or for anything on the ground. The Article 12 of the Paris Agreement is one of the so-called orphan issues. It means that parties know that they have to talk about that because it's in the Paris Agreement, but they don't know if this issue will be addressed by Substa, by SBI, by CMA, the Conference of Parties for the Paris Agreement. This decision will be very likely to be taken at the end of COP23. So we have 6 months from now to decide as YOUNGO what we want to do with ACE, with the implementation of Article 12 of the Paris Agreement, and how we can lobbying for our position. Our idea is to create a new platform or new body talking about ACE, but this platform should have a political mandate to act, to recommend policy or to implement action. We don't want a dialogue such as what happened in the ACE dialogue under the Doha Work Program. The Doha Work Program is supposed to close its works by 2020. So our ambition is to have a new body by 2020. Of course, parties won't have time to discuss the creation of this new institution in only 6 months. So what we want to have in the COP23 decision is a decision to create a new working group within the CMA to discuss. So the CMA is the conference of the parties of the Paris Agreement, and we want the CMA to discuss what can be done to operationalize the Article 12 of the Paris Agreement. So our plan is to find some of our friends, such as Nordic countries, Dominican Republic. These kind of countries used to support us when we want something about education or about S. And so we will talk to those guys and propose them to advocate for the launch of a new working group. But if we contact them and just say, oh, we want to do something, we want you to discuss about what we want to do for S, but we have no clear idea of what we want to do by ourselves, it won't work. So the first step will be to elaborate a conceptual note on what we can expect from the Article 12 of the Paris Agreement. We want this conceptual note to be draft by the end of June. So a little bit more than 1 month, 1 month and a half. It will be a YOUNGO document, basically. So this document will be drafted within the YOUNGO working group. But some of us thought it will be good to include also other organizations to have their input on what can be done concerning the Article 12 of the Paris Agreement. And I know that ECOS as a community and most of the ECOS members are interested by this issue. And so I would like to share first to share what we think, what is our progress and what we want to do. And secondly, to know if ECOS or some members of ECOS will be interesting to share their views and to help us to draft this note.
Thank you very much. Very good thoughts, and thanks for reaching out. It makes very, very much sense. Mark, do you have any thoughts on this? Did you think about these kind of topics?
I completely agree.
That's good.
Huge opportunities that Article 12 in particular really opens the door for working with this parties to the convention, working with non-state actors, and really it boils down to capacity building. I think using effective, innovative education, outreach, communication strategies, and that's something that was, I think, part of the original vision of the Framework Convention on Climate Change, back 20-something years ago. And we've struggled over the years to really emphasize the importance of that. I do think that more and more we need to be looking at non-state actors or cities, municipal governments, and other folks, because sometimes at the national level, we run into politics and impediments that just make it very, very difficult to move forward in this capacity building through information and engagement. So, how ECOS can help build sort of the put together the toolkit or work with others to identify some of the best practices that are already out there, serve as a clearinghouse, serve as a facilitator in some way. We would love to continue that work of helping to move these goals forward. And I think that we've talked in the past about ECOS being a network of networks, and at the same time, in some instances, we also can be working at sort of a one-to-one basis. Working with individuals, working with foundations, and so forth. Obviously, one of the key barriers has always been funding, and how do we find ways to move forward with these agendas that often just fall through the cracks. There's I think going back over 20 years, there's been some terrific ideas to help develop teacher training programs and engage the public, but all too often they're just not funded, or in some cases people are very creative in being able to take a little bit of funding and running a long way with it, but there's still constraints, and there's only so much you can do with volunteer power or very limited resources.
Yeah.
So
the question here is also, so these activities are outside the process, but also regarding how to organize this topic here within the process. And Dana, I would like to comment.
Maybe I could use the microphone. I'm just a little concerned about what is going to happen with ECOS Road to COP23, because it will be great to know. It's a great idea. The Jan's idea, it's a great idea, because we have to position ACE program.
Exactly.
Road to COP23. It's quite important. And YOUNGO constituency has the power to do it, first of all. And secondly, I think you need, and I will do it again, and I will say it again, the regional process is very important. And not the regional process. Because it would be great if for YOUNGO you can contact the person or some movements, regional movements in Asia, in Latin America, in Africa, obviously to enrich the process and obviously to enrich the new working group in YOUNGO. And it will be great. I don't know if you can talk with logistics and or Emily or with Yugratna and all the guys. Because we have right now from COP22 a lot of groups about ACE, adaptation, all the groups that we can be working on. But that sometimes for some youth it's a little confusing in which working group you have to be working on. Because it's very difficult to understand even the YOUNGO process. So if YOUNGO is kind of, for some young people, it's complicated. We have to get clear in this SB process what is going to happen road to COP23, and I think ACE complements about everything like adaptation, mitigation, etc. So maybe we can talk about it more later with the team, or I don't know, but it's a kind of suggestion. But my other suggestion and the principal suggestion and the most important from my side is that you have to have the support of regional issues, because first of all the access for the language. Because many young people will be saying, okay, everything is in English and I will go there in COP23, but I cannot speak English, or what is going to happen with that? So they have to get access to the documents maybe in another language, or you can ask someone from the regional organizations or regional movements who can help you to translate to other languages the ACE program, well, the position paper, etc. about the ACE program. That's my first suggestion. And secondly, I'm a little worried about, well, not worried, I would like to know what is going to happen with ECOS, Road to COP23, because right now, well, obviously it's the intersessionals, etc. But I think for the next COP23, we will have a lot of people working in COP23.
Yeah.
So I don't know how can we start to think about a position paper or a working paper to inform everyone in the Facebook group, first of all, what is going to happen with ECOS, because everyone will be interested in this. And in the other hand, a lot of people will come to hear the bond, obviously focusing in education, but they will have their own agendas. So I think it's very important to concrete the ideas for the COP23 to know what is going to happen. And again, I think the regional issue will be awesome. Yes, because if we, even in the conversations or even in the negotiations, everyone is talking about the regional cooperation and the non-party stakeholders cooperation. So I think the regional issue is quite important. Obviously the national issues, but many people are working right now by networks. So civil society is a kind of an expert working in networks. So we can use it to improve Article 12 and the Article 6. So I think it's a great idea, because I have been in a lot of processes. And it's like, okay, people, we have a lot to do, and many people will asking, like Mark says, what about the funding for education or climate empowerment? What is going to happen with the funding? Or what is going to happen with adaptation and transparency in the funds of adaptation or for education? So it's a lot of topics to try to understand or to get clear, and COP23 will be the place to do it. but that we need an agenda, I think.
Yes,
so would be
I
awesome.
100% support
Awesome.
this strategic thinking that we really need to start now to think about the future of ECOS,
Yeah.
but also about the future of the topic ACE, the Action for Climate Empowerment, Article 12, how we can support that there will be more effort, more resources, and also a structure for this topic. And no, I fully agree, and I'm happy we have this conversation today because it's important. But regarding this working body, so are there any specific ideas out developed by YOUNGO that you would like to see? What would you lobby for? How this should function?
It's not clear right now.
Yeah.
We were only 4 of us discussing this issue yesterday. Yeah. And as you say, YOUNGO process can be very complicated. So we won't decide everything at only 4. So we just throw out a few ideas, but this has to be agreed by the rest of the YOUNGO community. We may have some trouble because we will run out of time. We have only 6 months before the COP23 decision. So we'll have to have a balance between being as inclusive as possible, ensuring that all YOUNGO are included at every step, that the conceptual note will be translated. So we need to be as inclusive as possible. I think in YOUNGO, more and more members of YOUNGO are aware of the importance of inclusiveness. For example, we have a press conference today, and we have actually 2 press conferences, one in English and one in French.
That's good.
And they are right now, actually. Yeah. So this is an example to show that YOUNGO members are more and more aware and pay more attention to this kind of a principle. Having said that, as I said, we need to build something very quickly, and I think the idea of the small group we discussed yesterday was to draft the conceptual note within the ACE Working Group, and then to make it approved by YOUNGO according to the normal process. I mean, the conceptual note will be sent to every YOUNGO members, and each YOUNGO will have 1 week or 2 weeks, I'm not sure, to say if they agree or not. It would be great if this note could be translated in French or Spanish.
Yeah.
We'll see that. Actually, I cannot speak a lot because I won't get involved in this process. I'm just a messenger. I tell you what we thought it would be a good to do in the future yesterday, but actually, I won't get involved in all of that. So I think this is a good thought, and I will tell them about that. Yeah. But I cannot promise anything.
No, of course.
Yeah, because this Article 12 is really in analogy also with ECOS, because ECOS is now here really social innovation. Because our group, of course, we are small and not really fully operational yet, but the whole idea that the Secretariat said, no, not constituency, but group. And we can define what the group is. So it's a great space for social innovation. And in the same way, I would say that the line of argumentation here should be, let's create a body that is multi-stakeholder body. It is part of the negotiations and part of the Paris Agreement governance structure, but it is somehow also a window to the world where more non-party stakeholder engagement is possible, and that this something like this should be proposed to give also the UNFCCC the opportunity to have some public sector innovation in its process, so that we don't say it's something similar like the Doha work program or this Paris Committee on Capacity Building, because as far as I see, it's also a very business as usual type of body. But that we say for this Article 12, let's try something new. Well,
what we said yesterday we don't want to do is another dialogue such as the
No, no,
dialogue.
no,
we want
that's,
something
it's good,
that
but
can
not
implement
enough.
actual action on the ground.
Yeah. And also giving it also some kind of decision-making power or whatever. So something, think about how it could be getting some weight, where people who contribute can have also something to say. Especially young people on the ground, that they could also have some kind of e-voting. It's still suggestions, but something with more weight than only in ACE dialogues, the presentations.
Yeah, because I think, in fact, ACE program needs to be promoted, first of all, because
that's
it's
our common
quite
goal,
easy to start, well, not in our case, but for some parties it's great to say, or for some people it's great to say, like, okay, education is important, just that, but in the actions it's like how important is for the organization, etc. So first of all, and road to 2018, I think it's very important to position the climate empowerment, because 2020 is in the next corner, by the way. So it would be great to start to make a kind of campaign of promotion or something like that from non-party stakeholders.
Yeah.
And the ECOS community will be a great example, because I think many of us, we are working on research projects about education or about climate empowerment, or not just for kids or teenagers, maybe universities and even the public sector, because they need capacity building too about climate change. Because in the governance issue, it's like, okay, education, but I don't know what is going to happen, and I don't know even the Paris Agreement. I know about climate change because I hear it in the television, I watch it in the television or in the radio, but what is climate change exactly? What is the Paris Agreement? How can I, like someone like mayor, can be participating in these kind of issues? So it's quite important to start to promote the climate change issue and the ACE program or another programs, local programs. And I think it would be great that if ECOS could do that, maybe we can establish something in COP23 about it. Because the people, I'm very, very sure that many people will arrive here to the education process. I'm sure of it. Even the indigenous people are very interested in climate empowerment. So we have to create a strategy to uploading to the negotiations too, and start to say Article 12 is quite important, so you have to do something else.
So could I make a few comments? I have a limited amount of time this morning, and I really very much appreciate this conversation. I think it's super important. There's obviously just a few of us here, but to your point about planning for COP23, I think that's really where we need to put our energy. We had hoped to put together a survey before this meeting in Bonn that could be distributed during the dialogue. Ask the participants, ideally the focal points and other interested folks, what are their interests and how could ECOS benefit them? Unfortunately, we weren't able to pull the survey together in time, and we were also told that we couldn't distribute the survey during the dialogue, so that was disappointing. But I think that three things that I'm hearing in the conversation this morning that I think are really relevant to where we need to go next. The regional focus that keeps coming up, I think, is key. Evans has brought that up before in terms of Africa in particular. And related to that would be the languages. Although, I'm here in Europe and we have, whatever it is, 27 different languages in Europe. So we have huge language issues, and in some countries, English is still a common language because young people are taught English, but that's not true throughout Europe. So, for instance, here in Hungary, a country of 10 million people, really very few people, especially in the countryside, speak anything other than Hungarian. So that requires a lot of materials, a lot of documents and tools to be translated into the local language and, in a sense, customized locally. So maybe as a part of our survey and then in planning for COP23, we can be thinking about these regional issues, the language issues, but to this idea of sort of going beyond the usual business as usual, and how do we get there from here? You know, how can we bring a really engaging, innovative, inspiring approach? To me, even more important than explaining to people what is climate change, because a lot of people sort of understand the basics, and even more, certainly more important than explaining what the Paris Agreement is or what the Framework Convention on Climate Change is explaining what they can do to make a difference in their everyday lives.
Yes, that's very important.
Reducing food waste, for instance. You know, I've been very involved with something called Project Drawdown, which I mentioned the other day, and they've done an analysis of about 100 different strategies for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and they've ranked them, and they've crunched the numbers, and there's a lot of things that we don't really normally think about that actually could have a huge, huge impact on reducing climate emissions and being able to sequester carbon over the next 30 years. And many of these things are things that people can do in their everyday lives: reducing food waste, education of girls, family planning. And then there's a lot of things that relate not so much to, you know, energy and electric cars and all that kind of thing, which are often the focus, but more around this focus on agriculture and forestry, which are so important, I think, especially in Latin America and Asia, and to some extent in Africa as well. But so as we move forward and start planning for COP23, you know, what can we do to keep things moving forward, have little breakout groups, working groups, and especially how can we coordinate with YOUNGO in particular, since, you know, they've been around for a long time, and there's obviously huge overlap, and we have I think at least the potential to really help add value to the good work that YOUNGO's been doing, especially around engagement and education. Those are just a few thoughts that I have this morning.
Yeah. But I was thinking that now, as you are saying, this a new body, but in the process they cannot, in addition to the Paris Agreement, what's written there, they cannot establish any new body, and they will not establish any new body. But in the end,
no new body. Did
to deal with Article 12.
Body is not an appropriate term regarding what it means according to judicial. I mean, as you can see, terms, I don't speak English I speak English very fluently. So body, I think, is not the appropriate term. It's most about thinking the institutional arrangement. It could be a body, it could be a dialogue.
Yeah. No, but I'm thinking that ECOS could evolve into this. Because we have the recognition of the Secretariat, and if we deliver added value, then also the member states will accept. And so we have to think how we could be some kind this horizontal element, so that we work with all the other constituencies towards implementation of Article 12, and that we are also, with the means that we are using now, like Google Hangout, also we are already opening it up to those who don't have accreditations. So we are going already to the non-state actors and to those who are outside the process. So we have already some assets here, and I'm happy to give this also over to whoever would like from other fields like to take the lead in this. But somehow this recognition of the Secretariat that this topic is important and that there is innovation needed, this we have already. And so starting in parallel something new which might not differ very much from ECOS would perhaps not be very efficient. So let's think how ECOS could evolve into something that really serves everybody.
Yeah, and something that I consider that we can do too is the sensibilization, because yes, obviously the negotiators are negotiators, but they are humans.
Yeah.
So it's quite important to see that part, because most of the time we forget that they are people. So it's like really, but they are people, and we can see it even in the parties. In something in the parties that they can do.
Yeah.
In the process, they are like all the time so serious, and in the party is like, okay, I forget that right now, so I will be fun, and they are very open.
Yes.
So how can ECOS could make this work on sensibilization, even for the negotiators? Because it's a matter of sensibilization, because they forget that they are humans. You know? It's like I'm a kind of machine working. Well, sometimes I see them like that. So it's important to, maybe it sounds like a hippie way or something, but it's not a hippie thing. It's something that even the people needs to know.
Yeah.
Because yes, a lot of things are has been discussed here, but we are people, and we need to know that it's more than just some kind of delicate issues there, because our life is in danger too, thanks to climate change. So they have to open their minds in that way.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So I was thinking.
And we can. We can,
yeah. No, I was thinking about your time, resources, and so would be that we would somehow entrust some kind of leadership to you.
No,
Mark, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, because I don't know. Well, I'm very integrated in the process, in the political process.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that seriously, I cannot forget that I'm people, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, yes, of course, I have to study this, and of course, I have to know the article, and I have to study coming to my country and my organization, and blah. Yes, okay, but stop. We are people too.
Yeah.
So it's like a kind of this, and we can do it, because in my team in Mexico City, we did it. It was in Habitat, by the way. We make a presentation about our project on cities, and really was awesome. Maybe the first step for me and for my people, for me, from one public guy, was my answer was no all the time. No, because I want to be there in your project. Yes, but you didn't participate on it. It's a social project. So of course you can attend the meeting, and you can be in the side event, but I cannot introduce you like if you were part of the project.
Yeah.
And he was saying like, okay, and okay, I will call you later. Okay, and I was thinking like, he won't call again, because you know how they are. And after an hour or two, he was calling me again. Well, his assistant, and she was saying me, okay, he said yes. Are you sure of it? Because okay, it's a kind of representative head, but the most important thing for us is the project and the people in the project, and he has to understand that.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't any problem with that.
Okay.
So I said, okay, that's fantastic. And he was like, really? When he started to see what we are doing or what we are planning to do with this project, and the first pilot project in Ecuador by our team in Ecuador, he was like shocked, first of all, but he was a little desperate because it's very common for them to have the word first in the events, like, oh yes, it's me, and blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. The people was first, and they can understand it. And at the end, he told me, it's awesome because it's the first time that I don't say anything, any introducing thing like, I'm the chair of blah, 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 blah. But it was awesome because I could understand your point of view as people and as young leaders or whatever. And I said, okay, we are not young leaders. We are young people doing great jobs and doing great things. And it's awesome. How can you change the mind of the people because they are people? But you have just to be strong and be very consistent in your position to say, no, you have to change your mind because, yes, you have a position in the negotiation in some ministry, but you are people too. It's very, very hard, and I was a little desperate, but we can do it. So I think it's possible. Obviously, not all the people can be like that, but I think step by step we can change that kind of thoughts because for us, like Global South, it's very common to experimenting that kind of behaviors.
Very good. And also, I think that really ECOS should be it's this innovation space, and we should overcome this division into party, non-party, so that we would really invite into this group, into our deliberations, also representatives of parties, and so everybody who loves Article 20, Article 12.
And a dialogue, because everything starts with a dialogue. It's like, most of the time I see this. The political issues are here, and the civil society is in the other side, and both of them are strangers at the same time. Because there they are saying non-party stakeholders, and in our side it's like, oh my God, you are my enemy. So all the time we are separated. How can we do through education and through climate empowerment, etc., try to engage both things because it's
that
necessary.
Would be good for the
because
future
we can
of
talk
ECOS.
about financing, we can talk about a lot of topics on climate change, but through education and the dialogue, because we are strangers. So for COP23, I hope to see not much people. Stranger people.
Very good. No, that's excellent.
I talk it too much.
No. It's in line with your new leadership role. I would say you are the ECOS coordinator for COP23. Mark, what do you think? Coordination, planning, concept development, where all these elements come
something together. About policy, because it's necessary to know the process to get that.
Exactly, you have very much knowledge about the process.
Like loving, like, okay, you are the negotiator of this, yes, come here. So it's something like, I have this proposal, I don't know, I like that kind of
and
thing.
You have the link to the Mexican delegation, everything. You can really discuss with them what makes sense. And
I need to but like, I wholeheartedly endorse your leadership in helping us. Sorry.
Can you come closer to the microphone? There was some difficulty to understand.
We still have an echo?
Yes, a little bit of echo, but a little bit better now.
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
Very good.
In terms of your leadership, I just posted a link to the C40.org, which is the 40 mayors from around the world, including the mayor of Mexico City, Miguel Angel Mancera, who has a webinar coming up next week, actually, about the first green bond issued by a Latin American city. Again, I think I mentioned this before, you know, at almost 10 million people, Mexico City is bigger than many countries. And if Mexico City can be a leader in this area, in a way, it's inspiring to all of us. And you know, clearly there's so many challenges that the Mexico City faces, but there's also some innovative and very progressive work being done at that level. But the other thing I wondered about is, was the woman from the Green Climate Fund able to give us any hope that GCF might be able to help fund education work when she was at the dialogue?
Yesterday at the ACE presentation.
Paula.
Paula.
Yeah.
She didn't inspire much hope at my side. I've seen more potential in the Jeff presentation, Global Environment Facility, in this global knowledge collaboration also.
With the small grants.
Yeah, no, not only the small grants, but also the partnership that they have presented, where they have worked on building a joint knowledge platform with different programs. And so I thought that perhaps in an analogy, they could also work with us to build an information system that documents all the activities in the field of climate change, education, communication, and outreach, and feeds it into the NASCA platform. So perhaps Global Environment Facility funding would be more easy to access than the Green Climate Fund. But in the long run, we have to target the Green Climate Fund, that mind shift in this.
In fact, Dominican Republic has a lot of experience in the research project about educations, and they are, as I know, they are implementing some of them in the island, obviously. But I was surprised because we have in the ACE dialogue in both days, because I could see that we have a universe of information and a universe of tools for education, but the sad thing is that we are not implementing or using these tools. It's like amazing, because it's like you have, I don't know, the strategy to improve in the small children this thing about environmental issues, and you are not, well, the people are not using all those tools, and so I think we need some kind of guidelines or toolkit just to say, if you work with children like from this age, I don't know, something like that. But in that kind of funding thing, yes, I agree with you, because the Green Climate Fund, no, I didn't see much things like, yes, we can do it. But I think if we have a greater structure around to COP23, and we can reinforce it in COP23, I think we can push like the Green Climate Fund and another funds to say, okay, we can invest in education or something. I don't know, that's my idea.
I also think that we can change everything. We have to envision what is needed and then work towards it, and there are no limits to what we can achieve. Okay, so I'm very delighted that we have our COP23 coordinator. That's super.
I will need help, please.
We will help you.
No, because
whatever.
I can try to make the engagement with this political issue to make the conversations, but obviously we need a kind of huge team to do it.
Exactly, yeah. But you are perfect for this, because you have been also in YOUNGO, and you know the delegation side, and you really understand the process. You understand regional issues.
My head will explode.
And your mind will explode too. But that's
going to have a call, an ECOS coordinating call within the next month, okay?
Yes, exactly. We should, So
we can find a time, maybe mid-June.
How is your availability?
Next week?
No, not next week. In 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, it's okay.
Let's have a little bit slow down.
No.
A lot to digest.
No, I have to work in my country, and no, I will be.
Okay. So I will send around a doodle.
Okay.
So for coordinating the time, I will send it also to you. Perhaps despite your job, you will find a way.
We need climates.
We need climates. Really, climates.
I will lobby the new board to have someone to follow what you are doing.
Okay, great.
But we need climates.
We certainly need climates. Also, I'm also a great fan of climate. Margot was here. Also, we can also liaise with her, and also Charlotte I've met here the climate migration. Climates we need. Perfect.
All right, very good. Thank you, Yann.
And
Thank you,
quick-
David.
Yann has something concluding.
So we have a coordinator for a long-term or medium-term project about my proposition to include ECOS or one of or you as a person for the drafting of our
Yes,
conceptual note.
very much.
Are you
We
interested?
would be happy to contribute. Yeah.
Okay. Can I have? Yes, I have your email address.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I will tell the group and you will.
Yeah,
you
that
receive
we
an
are
email.
very happy that this
Yeah,
conversation
we can
took
do
place
it, really.
today. We'll
Yes.
love your
You
ideas,
have
and
my
we will
email, so-
Yeah.
we will work with you.
And
that we-
are both of you on the Facebook page, the group page that we've got set up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I think the YOUNGO working group would like to work with a small, with a small team. I would prefer to have one or two people
That's fine.
who
Yeah,
want to be
that's
very
great.
engaged in the process, rather than just throwing the link and letting any
Right.
comment.
Okay, then maybe let's focus on just the four of us as part of that. Okay?
Okay, and I have not. Can I have your email address?
Yes, Miro, can you provide it to him? It's
to give
marksmccaffrey@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Okay. Great.
Yes,
I've got to go.
it was very productive. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios. Adios.
That's very good.
Thanks.
Because we have with this ECOS, we have